Get all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
And what are we sacrificing exactly? Decency, that's what. Welcome to the Midnight Black Mass. This is the maniacal minister of the occult, the devil you know, the Reverend Dan Wilson, alongside my cohort, my colleague, my partner in crime, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Andrew Alexander.
It's a bitch when your dick smells like bad pussy, but you ain't had none lately.
That's a pretty bad problem to have.
I'm just kidding. I've had some lately.
well, that's good, and hopefully we'll hear about it later on this edition. Finally, the return of Fuck or Fail. We've been pretty overwhelmed with wrestling-related things. All the excitement involving the Phoenix City Invitational, the passing of Roddy Piper. So, pretty much been focusing on wrestling the last couple of episodes. But we're back to jive turkey around, just like you love this week here on the program. Hope you had a good week. Mine was pretty good. Been watching the fuck out of that Wet Hot American Summer prequel on Netflix. I don't know if you were familiar with that original movie, but it's quite a hoot.
No, I've seen that show. Is that show good?
Oh, it's fucking tremendous. Like, I love that. It's pretty much, the original movie was pretty much The State. Like, I don't know if you remember those guys from the MTV comedy sketch. So basically, most of them went on to do, like, Reno 911, bunch of other shit. So it's mostly, like, all of those guys. And then, like, you got some great early days of some comedians there, like Amy Poehler is in it, and David Hyde Pierce, and Bradley Cooper, like, one of his first big roles. Elizabeth Banks, who I think is just fucking awesome. It's just a loaded fucking cast, and it's just a raunchy fucking comedy about summer camp and, sexual discovery and fucking drugs and just all of the awkward teenage adventures and shit. So there's an original movie that came out, I guess it was like the mid-90s. I'm not real sure when the movie fucking came out. But it's like all these years later, here on Netflix, they've created a prequel called The First Day of Camp and brought back the entire cast. Well, Paul Rudd is another one that's in there. He wasn't in the state troupe either. But, it gets my highest recommendation as far as just a goofy summer comedy. Like, takes place in the 80s. The fucking theme song is Jane by Jefferson Starship. Just fucking makes you want to rip a big line off a fucking stripper's ass.
Well, yeah, I'll have to check that out for sure, man. I mean, this week, I survived. This week dealt one of the biggest tragedies that I think I've ever faced in my life. I mean, it's got to be in the top 5. And I survived it. I got through it. I'm here. We're here to discuss some good, fun things. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
Awesome. Well, I don't know what the fucking tragedy was. I thought there was going to be a punchline there. You're like, no, it just fucking sucked.
I know I had to wait for you to ask first. I went Thursday night, and I went to the first viewing possible of Fantastic Four, and I'm still here, so we're going to make it.
Yeah, so it was as bad as everybody fucking said it was, huh?
I mean, for the most part, I've seen some humorous reviews. I think for the most part they're pretty accurate. I think it was pretty good up until a point. I could see how people would disagree, though. I'm easy to please. I went in not expecting a lot, and all the issues I thought it would have, it didn't have. But it created whole new issues. But the young cast did a great job, I thought. with what they were dealt with, and it's kind of smart going with a young group because they really could have made a lot of movies out of that and made their own little franchise. But I just don't see that happening now. I think their best bet would be to get as much money as they could from Marvel Studios and sell the rights back to them and kind of cut their losses and just really focus on X-Men, X-Force, X-Factor, Deadpool, all of these big group of characters they have that they do a pretty good job with. They could just focus solely on that and, make a really good profit. But Fantastic Four, it's just going to need some big help to be viable, I think.
That would be a wise move. It had one of the lowest openings of any superhero movie since the first Avengers came out. It was the lowest opening since the original Avengers came out. So, bad sign that hopefully the bubble's not about to bust. Hopefully it was just a shitty movie that people knew was going to be shitty, and they responded in kind. I think they fucking just put a total stink on the Fantastic Four now as far as viable movie characters. And I think the best move is to sell back to Marvel, and hopefully they can introduce these characters in the Avengers franchise somehow and rehab them enough to where maybe they one day in our lifetimes will get a decent fucking movie out of them. If nothing else, they'll get Dr. Doom and Galactus in the Marvel universe, and that alone is worth whatever price tag you're going to put on it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the characters, I've kind of said that the Fantastic Four, they are great characters and you can get a lot out of them. But I think it's a little tough because what made the Fantastic Four great originally was, the space exploration, and that's how they got their powers. And nowadays, the space exploration, it's not the deal that it was in the 60s. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the end-all, be-all. Back then, it was like, oh, we've got to go to space. And, now we've got fucking iPods and shit like that. Like, it's not the hype that it used to be. So I think the story is a little tougher. As with, mutants and then Avengers, the way they get all their powers and things such as that, even though a lot of it is scientific, I think it's just a little more exciting than that origin, which they tweaked a little for this new Fantastic Four, but I didn't think it was enough that it hurt it. But I think there's still a lot there, but like you said, Dr. Doom and Galactus alone, and possibly, Silver Surfer could be cool, and I'm sure there's other characters that we're forgetting that could be cool to see.
Kang the Conqueror is owned by the Fantastic Four universe, so there's another major villain.
Yeah, that's three big villains that Marvel could use going forward, for sure, especially a Galactus, because, that should just be really tough to conquer. And Dr. Doom, and that can make it be a way you could do a movie and introduce Dr. Doom, and then someone's like, oh, I know who can help us here, boom, and here's Reed Richards and his gang, and then you don't even really have to focus on the origin stories anymore, which they're getting away from anyway, and people know the origin, they get it, so here's these guys, oh, Doom's back, he's up to some no good, help us out, and then boom, you go to another movie, introduce Kang, introduce Galactus, a lot of different ways you can play it, but the biggest point is Fox should really just look at cutting their losses at this point. Because now, if they even reboot it, it could be 5, 10, 15 years from now. There's still going to be those people that remember this and go, no, I don't want to go see that piece of shit.
Yeah, I think they've successfully killed the Fantastic Four franchise. I mean, deader than fucking dirt. This was its chance at redemption, and they fucking blew it.
Yeah, they took Dr. Doom's name literally. They just heard Doom and was like, okay, here's what we do. Let's create this and destroy anything that could be good from it. And just, I told you, I think that if it was a TV show or if it was a Netflix thing or something, it would have been okay because you're like, okay, what's next week's episode? But next week's episode's over 2 years away and costs millions of dollars to produce, and that's not the way you handle that situation. It was just a big, long teaser or trailer for a part 2, kind of. And just the way they played it with Dr. Doom, who is one of the biggest villains in Marvel Comics, and he just doesn't get treated that way. He hasn't in the past, and he certainly isn't now. And that's just a shame. And I mean, that's the biggest problem with the movie, is him. The other stuff, I really didn't hate the rest of the movie. Like, the characters, Michael B. Jordan did a great job. Like, you forget about his affirmative action hiring for the role, like, pretty quickly. Like, he just nails the character, I think, for the most part. I haven't read every issue of Fantastic Four, but I know the general idea. But, I mean, it's just, you look past all this stuff, but you could not look past the last 20 minutes of the movie, like, no matter how hard you try.
Right on. Well, one of the first I may not even hit in the theater. I've heard it's so bad, and I usually don't listen to reviews, but when they're unanimously garbage and people can, they're really, even the people that want to give it a positive review, you can tell are struggling to find a good thing to say about it. That's bad, and that, that's a real damn thing.
I think you find an afternoon that you're not doing anything, or, especially if you can get a matinee or just anything like that. I think it's worth. I mean, you need to check it out. You just form your own opinion and kind of see what they did right, what they did wrong. But yeah, you don't want to go into it really excited, because it's a letdown. Just, the ending just isn't strong, and the whole movie has a slow pace, which I didn't mind either. So I heard some people say they're bored with it. I totally get that, but I personally wasn't. I was just waiting. I knew it was building, and I knew wrong. It was not building. It builds to the credits, and then they roll, and you're like, what the hell? But
wow.
We'll see what happens in the future. I mean, maybe Deadpool will do awesome, and I've already heard the rumors that they may just give that Fantastic Four 2 slot to a Deadpool 2, a sequel to that. So, hopefully it'll do good, and then maybe something will happen there, and they'll just focus on the X-Men and everything.
Yeah, I think that seems to be their strong suit, and, while it's been great, there's some minor things that could be tweaked there. They need to really, focus on fan service. They seem so resistant to that, where it's really been one of the keys to Marvel's success. I don't really understand why they still have the Hollywood executive mentality about trying to sell these movies, but hopefully that seems to be going more by the wayside, especially with Deadpool, which seems to be right out of the comic book page. So hopefully we see more of that. Moving on to the wrestle news. Not a lot of that this week. Of course, we typically record the program in two segments, 2 parts. So at least as of right now, we have no passings to report in the wrestling industry, which is nice. I'm really fucking sad when you have so many weeks in a row that you have to pay tribute to your fallen comrades and heroes. But at least this week, as of right now, we don't have any passings to report. So knock on wood, that remains the case throughout the episode, but we'll let you know if we hear anything.
Yeah. And that's really going to be sad if we record and we spoke too soon. Looks like a great legend has passed. But yeah, not even not even smaller, lesser known, famous, at least professional wrestlers, but no, definitely none of the big heroes. We've made it a little while. No controversies with recordings or sex tapes or murders or any drugs, any of the pro wrestling stuff. We've had a good little week or so to rest, so that's always a plus. Yeah,
definitely. So, looking at things, not a lot of wrestling news this week, but, of course, SummerSlam's coming up pretty soon, and there's a lot of hype surrounding that. And we'll kind of talk about our thoughts on that here in a moment. But, of course, real quick, we just want to talk about Empire Wrestling because that's certainly where our efforts and energies have been involved lately. Huge successful weekend for the Scenic City Invitational. Last week we did a full rundown of our thoughts on that and a little recap, so you can check that out in the archives. Get a lot of attention nationally off of that. A lot of websites doing write-ups, podcasts doing reviews. Stay tuned for that coming out on video on demand and DVD soon through Woo Wrestling. You can find out more information at facebook.com/Empire Wrestling, on Twitter at EmpirePW, or on their official website at EmpireWrestling.net. Also, be on the lookout coming this week, at least as of the latest projections, the Crazy from the Heat 2015 video release, looking like possibly not only a DVD, but a video on demand release for that as well. So where you might be able to purchase match by match or the whole card. and then y'all can also get your own hard copy DVD if you want. Huge event of the summer. You just have to check it out. We saw Logan Alvey retain the title in the main event. We saw the blindfold match. We saw the match of the year candidate with Rush and Kyle Matthews in the street fight. An absolute must-see event. Check it out at EmpireWrestling.net and get your copy today. So what is going down in the world of Empire Wrestling as this episode airs? The first event post-Scenic City Invitational will have taken place. What will the fans be expecting on that one, Booker Man?
Well, man, yeah, things are going good right now, man, and we're about to go back into the fall, which, of course, means we're going to be running every Saturday night. It's always a little bit better in the fall and winter for wrestling fans, just because of the weather is not to where you want to go out and spend time with family outdoors. So we always do really well with the crowd attendance, which, you know, that's every wrestling promotion I've ever been in for the fall and winter. So we've got some great ideas. We're looking forward to Chasing the Grail, our next mega event, which will take place in November. Now that the Scenic City Invitational Tournament's behind us, we're going to move forward and have our third annual Chasing the Grail tournament, which will crown a number one contender for that event to Logan Alvey's title, if he's the champion, because September 12th, going back to our weekly schedule, we're going to have Logan Alvey versus Gunnar Miller one-on-one, first time ever for the title match that both men have wanted, the fans have wanted. I think everybody wants to see it. You know, interesting to see what's going to happen with two crowd favorites going head-to-head, you know, arguably the two most popular men at Empire facing each other one-on-one. So definitely some interesting things coming up. I guess this week's show, which we've talked about a little bit, but it'll already happen, but we're seeing a big rematch between one half the tag team champions, Keith Hamill, versus the current Empire champion Logan Alvey, and those two guys just had a hell of a match, not at the Scenic City Invitational, but the week before an actual Empire event. I know you were there for that, and I just thought those guys did great.
Yeah, they had great chemistry, and you know, Keith Hamill, Kenton Han, or rather, Hao Kai Han of the Double Dragons. He has really stepped up, and he gave Logan a run for his money. But Logan did beat him pretty decisively. So, what was the thinking behind the rematch there?
Well, I mean, obviously it was highly requested from both of the Double Dragons, but especially Keith Hamill. And, you know, I saw the match, and I thought it was a great match to start with. I thought they gave the crowd a good match. And with him asking, and I was kind of looking at what we had going forward, and I saw no reason we couldn't have another match. I mean, it is a non-title, so I didn't just hand out a title opportunity. But, you know, if it's not beyond the realms of Keith Hamill pulling off an upset victory against Logan, and, you know, he'd arguably be in line for a title shot for sure at that point. So that was just kind of the idea. I didn't think it would step on anybody's toes too much, and, you know, hopefully Logan stays healthy and ready for the next number one contender, Gunnar Miller, on September 12th, which will be here before we know it.
I know. Like, I was talking with my daughter today about what she wanted to be for Halloween. And I'm thinking, you know, we got a little bit of time. And I look at the calendar. And I'm like, no, we fucking don't. Like, Dragon Con's going to be here in like 3 weeks, man. It's the end of the year is creeping upon us quickly.
Yeah, this year has definitely gone by quick. So what was the verdict on the daughter's Halloween costume? What she want to be?
Right now, it's Jessie from Toy Story, but as her being a 3-year-old, that could change on a whim. So okay. Right now, that's
Toy Story. Toy Story is still big with the young kids. I know it's been a while since the last movie.
It is with her, yeah. So like she just discovered all this Disney shit at once. So you know she's just in love with it, and it's great because we kind of.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, we kind of avoided the whole Frozen thing. Not that, like, I mean, she watched it and has it and liked it and has some of the toys and stuff. But, like, she doesn't like it any more than any of the other movies because she found them all kind of at the same time. So it's nice that we didn't get just totally berated by Frozen like every other parent did.
Oh, sweet Lord, man. My nieces love that Frozen. My God. I think they're working on a second one, but I can't believe they haven't just pumped those things out, man. That is a cash machine for sure.
Disney don't play, man. They got to have that quality. They are they're top of the line when it comes to that canon stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I was going to say I haven't seen a ton of the animated flicks since, really becoming an adult, but those Toy Stories, man, they hold up. I think they're good movies. I can watch them right now, and I dig them.
Oh, every Pixar movie fucking has me blithering like a goddamn idiot. Like, every one of them, they really know how to touch the feels. But like most all those Disney movies are pretty great. As far as what get back and watch them with your kid, like those are good stories with fucking legit consequences. Like somebody's always fucking dying, and that's the lesson the character has to learn. So, not quite in my normal wheelhouse, but certainly like getting to share things with your kid. There's a whole lot worse children's entertainment out there than Disney. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, they make them for, they do a good job of making them for the adult. Like, you may not love it, but you're going to have to sit through it, so at least you can enjoy some parts of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So kudos to them.
Yeah, really. So one other quick item on the wrestle news I'll mention. AAA had one of their first North American pay-per-views, Triple Mania 2015, was like their big event. And I love AAA. Like, I haven't watched them in a couple of years, but I used to get the Spanish language channel on my satellite package when I was a Dish subscriber. And I watch the show every week, and I just like, it's different, the psychology don't really jive with what wrestling to be, but it's a fun fucking show to watch. And apparently this pay-per-view was a disaster, though. Like, they had technical glitches galore, and it was just like, it was a nightmare. So I hate that because, it's some really cool international wrestling, but it seemed to have left a pretty bad first impression in the U.S.
Yeah, it's weird because I kept hearing hype for that pay-per-view, but I didn't even know what happened yet. So the hype must have died as soon as it aired because I didn't even realize till today that it had happened. And yeah, that's definitely a shame because any product that's an alternative, I want to do well, whether I watch it or not. I want guys to have a place to work and fans have a place that they can watch. So you definitely hate to hear about that. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. I used to watch that. I used to get that back in the day, and I would check it out anytime I watched it. And I didn't understand the psychology, but I would know that, okay, the fans are reacting here, so this is, this part's good at least. I've never, that's one thing I've never understood the Lucha Libre psychology, and I've heard people say that there is none, but mutual friend of ours, former Ring of Honor star, people may know him by Sal Renaro, I didn't remember him one time saying he understood Lucha psychology. He would be a great guest to maybe get on and see if he could explain that, because I would be very curious to see how much psychology there is to Lucha Libre. There has to be some. There has to be something that these guys are going out trying to accomplish, so that'd be interesting.
They still draw big crowds, They still draw big money down there, and the people are pretty fucking passionate about it, much more so than they are here.
Yeah, definitely.
So, they're doing something right. But and like the main event was Mysterio and Mystico, which was, a pretty big Lucha Dream match since Ray had pretty much been under contract during the whole rise of Mystico. And, of course, he got signed as the original Sin Cara and went back to Mexico. Now he's changed his name to, like, Maziz or something like that. Again, Lucha psychology, I'm not sure I understand it, but allegedly that was a good match, but just like technical issues plagued the pay-per-view. A lot of people were asking for refunds. So hopefully AAA can bounce back in the States. It would be nice to see them cross over. But real quick, let's talk about SummerSlam coming up. What are your thoughts on this card? The biggest build I think I've seen is the fucking Arrow in the tag team match with Adrian Neville against Wade Barrett and Stardust. So they've done a pretty good job of hyping that, at least.
I haven't. I've been watching some of the highlights of Raw, but I haven't really been watching the show like I typically have. But I have been reading the reports and catching the highlights and stuff, and it does seem like the build has been a little slow especially considering it's like a Mania Part 2. They're really stepping up, trying to make it, they've moved it up to 4 hours. I think they're doing some of the appearance and things that they do with Mania. NXT has the big event, which is sold out the night before, which I think that's awesome. 13,000 plus seats already sold out, so that's really cool for NXT, which has a really good looking card as of now. But SummerSlam will be cool. Very curious about Lesnar and Taker, and Rollins. It looks like Rollins and Cena, even though Cena's not 100% clear to compete. What's some of the undercard? I think they added a 4-team, maybe elimination match. A lot of the young guys in those teams, they work really hard. New Day, obviously, Primetime Players, Lucha Dragons, and I'm forgetting a team here. I feel horrible, but
the New Day, Primetime Players, Lucha Dragons, and who? Maybe the Usos? No, I think one of them's still hurt.
No, they're still hurt, and I don't think it was the Ascension. So I'm drawing a blank. Maybe it was the Ascension, but I really don't think it was. I'll have to look that up. But the big news. I was really expecting a singles match between Stardust and Arrow, and there's pros and cons. I mean, obviously he's going to be more protected in the tag, but
I think that's smart.
But I could see him doing a good job. He's athletic. He's been a fan. If he's the type of guy that if he would go in there and listen, he could probably be really, really passable in the match. And the Neville thing is very smart because they have tied that in because he's got a superhero thing going. He's very high flying, very exciting. I think it would be much cooler if we still had the team of Stardust and Goldust, just kind of a natural fit. Nothing against Barrett at all because I think that guy's done really well. He's been there for 5+ years now and still works hard, still delivers good matches, just having trouble getting to that next point. But I think it would be cooler if it was kind of a more natural thing like that. But definitely looking forward to it. I'm definitely excited to see not only how he delivers, but is he going to come out dressed as the Arrow, or is he going to have some sort of that look? Because they've played that up a lot with the Stardust thing. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that match as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with the new focus on the women's wrestling, they've really got some strong female competitors now. That I imagine with the heat they put on it, there'll probably be some kind of 6-man with the submission sorority and Team BAD. I can only imagine. I haven't seen any official announcement, but that has to be happening.
I think they might be adding a 3. It was just kind of a first time ever. I think it's a 3-way tag, like a 9-man tag match, 3 teams of 3.
Okay, yeah, because you've got the Bellas and Alicia Fox also. So that's I
Team
forgot
Bella.
about them being.
And they've had to change. They've had to change their name to Team PCB because Submission Sorority was a porn site, and no one bothered to look that up before going with it, which I don't know why they changed it. I mean, when you think of porn, you think of those 3 promo or porno indeed. But, so it's Team PCB, not Panama City Beach, Paige, Charlotte, and Becky. So kind of a little generic there, but it doesn't make you think of women fighting over the strap-on, and the winner of the strap-on gets to use it on the loser, So, I guess
no, but I can't be opposed to that.
No, I mean, I could see old Becky Lynch with the Robert Gibson eye, putting on the strap-ons, attacking the brown eye of Charlotte. Make her say woo a little bit. Get Paige in there. That lily white skin. Oh.
But not to take away from their abilities, though, because they are kicking. I've never been a fan of women's wrestling, like not to slight the ladies, but it's just a different style. Since they've started having them wrestle more like the men, and just, to work a standard match as opposed to doing these very cliched women's spots. They've really done something special with it. I'm excited to see where they go.
The girls, especially coming up from NXT, they have some badass matches. They really do. So, hopefully they can mix with, not saying the Bellas aren't hard workers, but there's definitely a difference in the focus that's been put on in the NXT system than any of the divas that have been on WWE, the main roster. So, I think it'll be good. Those girls are going to work hard for sure.
Hell yeah. Well, there's your SummerSlam recap. Time to bitch.
Oh man, why do you hate everything new? Partly because I don't understand it, and partly because fuck you. It's time for Old Man Haters.
What's wrong with you?
It's either this show or indigestion. I hope it's indigestion.
Why?
It'll get better in a little while.
It's time for Old Man Haters. So, this week, Old Man Haters, real simple for me. It's a subject I can bitch a lot about, okay? Seen a lot of discussion, once again, about regulation for professional wrestling in Georgia. And I've bitched more times than I can count to bitch on this fucking show about regulation in wrestling. But the latest comes from a gaggle of dumb fucks down in the South Georgia area who apparently have been booking these all-children shows. And, to be honest, just real talk, if it's in a controlled environment, which I don't believe it is because it's ran by fucking dumbasses, but if it's a controlled environment, is it really more dangerous than tackle football? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't think that's really to say. It's just more like the public image perception that you have these untrained children in the ring, and you're charging money for people to come see it. And so, of course, this is declared a fucking giant social media mutiny against this promotion. And a lot of people have been phoning into the Georgia Athletic Commission. Well, we already have an athletic commission in place in Georgia. By the way, if you dumb fucks didn't know, once again, I'll explain how that happened. They actually were trying to completely regulate the state. In the early 2000s, Bill Behrens, Dusty Rhodes, Thunderbolt Patterson, many other Georgia mainstays and people who are important in the wrestling community went and spoke before the state senate and Congress, and they worked with the athletic commission, and they came upon a mutual agreement that promotions would pay an annual licensing fee. There would be minimal to no interference. They would let the promotions pretty much self-govern themselves, but everybody had to be licensed and registered, and if they were doing things that weren't on the up and up, then the commission would investigate them, but otherwise they would not. So now you have all of this, and people are now calling for more regulation. And as you know me pretty well, I'm very firmly against that, and not in theory. In theory, you would think, well, you regulate wrestling, you make it a more legitimate business, you tax, you do all the legitimate things that legitimate up and up businesses do. And it weeds out the shitbirds. It weeds out the people like these idiots running children's shows that don't belong. But that's only in theory. And if you think that that's the way it's going to work in practice, you are living in a fucking fantasy world, because they don't give a fuck about wrestling. The local governments are a fucking good old boys network of politicians. They don't give a shit about your fucking business or the health of it. All they want is your fucking money. And if they start taking your money, you're going to let them nickel and dime your ass out of fucking business. And if they start passing the strict regulations, like having to have a doctor at ringside, having to have a fucking ambulance on call, like all the shit that some of these other groups, these other states have, random drug tests on the talent, just all of this shit that independent wrestling can't possibly sustain, because the costs mount up and they mount up and they mount up. And there's nobody with any knowledge or experience in your sport in the government seat to do this. So, of course, again, it goes back to the almighty dollar. They only want your fucking money. Now, where is the flip side of this? Well, you have a lot of the boys saying, well, fuck this, we don't need regulation, which we don't. So let's start policing the business ourselves. And again, great idea in theory, not so much in practice. This is 2015. There's a camera everywhere you go. We are literally living in the age of Big Brother 1984, and we've done it to ourselves based on that little device we all carry in our pockets. So you can't get away with just showing up at a show anymore and beating the hell out of a shitbird and running them out of town, because that's assault, and the government knows that wrestling is phony. And now, at least, from their perspective, like, I'm not, not to go back into the whole fake argument that we went to last week, but they know what the deal is with wrestling, and it's just wrestling excuse doesn't work anymore. There was a time where it did. It doesn't. So, you're risking your life, your livelihood, jail time, fines, money you don't have to clean up the business when it don't fucking matter. So my advice to everybody is to fucking squeal on these motherfuckers as loud as you can, because there's nothing illegal about speaking your mind. And fucking, so if you want to trash them and you want to fucking embarrass them and shame them and run them out of town, more power to you. But you're not going to be able to get away with showing up at their show and beating the hell out of them. Again, great idea in theory, but it doesn't fucking work in practice. The best thing you can do is worry about what you're fucking doing and make it the best it can be, and make the fans, make the other people choose you by example, and lead as an example, and point out you as an example of what is being done right when all these other motherfuckers are doing it wrong.
And I think we should confirm that when you said we've done it to ourselves by the device we carry in our pocket, you do mean the fleshlight, correct?
Of course. What else were you thinking I was talking about?
A little pocket pussy. Okay. I was just making sure. But yeah, you couldn't have been any more correct on the whole in theory, because there's this huge part of me that if it could be done right, and if it could be regulated to where there were just certain rules, maybe getting physicals and having a license fee, just little things, it would wipe out so many of the bad wrestling shows in Georgia alone. And I know I said earlier I want there to be promotions for the guys to work and fans to give fans an option to see, but that's because those promotions at least attempt to paint wrestling in a positive light. They attempt to put on a good professional show. There's countless of shows in Georgia alone. I mean, I bet there's 50. I bet you could go out and hit the roads and hit the small towns and find 50 shows in Georgia that are pure shit. That the guys are pure shit. They are all out of shape. They're all in jeans or Walmart athletic equipment, things such as that. They don't know what they're doing. That gives wrestling a bad name. When you go to a town, maybe you try to run a wrestling show, people's like, wrestling? We've seen wrestling here. It sucks. And it just hurts. It doesn't do anything to help. But, like you said, it's gonna become a greed thing. They're gonna want money, and then they're gonna see what kind of money you bring in. They're gonna want a percentage of every show, or a bigger percentage yearly, or maybe do things like drug test wrestlers randomly. And hey, just because I don't do any drugs doesn't mean that I'm not fully aware that 95% of the wrestling business does. And that's completely fine. You're not doing it and going out there and hurting guys. You're not doing it before matches and being unprofessional. But what someone does in their downtime is completely their decision. And if you're not hurting anybody, I think I'm fine with it. Even harder stuff that's illegal. If you're wanting to do that, put that in your body, be my guest. But then you got guys drug tested. They can't make shows. They get in trouble. They have to pay fines. Then, even good talent isn't going to want to wrestle because, I might get busted for smoking a little weed or something. So there are big pros to it, but I think the cons are just too much.
Yeah, that's my general consensus. Like, yeah, okay. if it was, if you hired Bill Behrens to be the fucking the guy in charge of the athletic commission, well, yeah, he's going to know what is feasible in wrestling and what isn't. But, when you take some bureaucrat who's been a career politician who is trying to regulate it the same as MMA, which is what they were trying to do originally, which would have fucking killed the entire industry. So if you haven't, thank Bill Behrens and the late Dusty Rhodes, rest his soul, Thunderbolt Patterson, Jerry McDivitt, and WWE Legal. If you're a wrestler in Georgia, you might want to fucking thank them the next time you see them, because they're the only reasons that you're still able to fucking wrestle in that state after that legislation that was passed in 2002 almost came to be. They shut that shit down, and that's why we have the system we have in place right now. And it could be better, but it is what it is, and it's working fine. Now, you can't let a bad apple spoil the bunch. So, you got to fucking, I have no problems if the commission showed up at the show with children and shut them down. But, that doesn't mean we need more regulation, because we already know where that goes. But that's my rant.
And something else, two other things real quick. Number one, these changes, these shit shows, and just things like that. It's so sad, but those things are never going to change. There's nothing that we can say or that we can even do to not keep every fucktard out there from getting the idea, man, I should start a wrestling show. I could be the star. And then they do it. And nothing's ever going to change that.
No, and when you make money, the only driving force behind it, well, hey, guess what? I've worked for promoters that had a lot of fucking money and spent a lot of fucking money, and it was still a goddamn shit show,
Yeah.
So.
But the second thing, a big thing that I didn't even think of till you just mentioned it, the WWE. The WWE comes to Georgia a handful of times a year for maybe some Raw, SmackDown, some house shows. We get pay-per-views occasionally. We got freaking WrestleMania, and I know that WrestleMania generated a lot of money for the city of Atlanta, hopefully to where they'll bring it back. But if you think for a second that these things get passed and the WWE won't say, well, we can't run Georgia, you are wrong, because they definitely will. They don't go to a lot of states near as much because of these type of regulations. And if they may say, well, we'll go to Georgia once a year for a Raw that you might not even go to get the best stuff because we're afraid of A, B, and C happening. I mean, that's a fact. There will be no more WrestleMania coming to Atlanta if this stuff's passed. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah, that absolutely. So anyway, all of you people crying for regulation and you people on the opposite side, try to think of it in realistic terms and not just with your emotions or what you want to do, because I want to do a lot of fucking things, but reality dictates that I can't. So, just keep that in mind. So let's hear some tales. We got a couple of minutes left for this first session here. I wanna get down to the meat of things. Here we go.
In a world filled with sluts, whores, and women who make questionable choices, one man sets out to fuck them all. Will our hero fuck or fail?
All right, it's time. You said you had gotten some action recently, so it's been a while since the fuck or fail. I'm eager to hear what you've been up to.
Man, it feels like it's been so long since we've been fucking or failing. But I got to let the fans know not to worry, because it don't mean I've been sitting around thumbing my ass. If there's a thumb going to go up my ass, it's not going to be my own. I've been out there fucking, oh man, I've been throwing it down. But it hasn't all been great experiences for the past couple of weeks. Here's what happened. Now, we all remember the last story I told about the event that happened. The chick kind of went all Fantastic Four reboot on my dick. I think we all remember. Well, I don't think I told this story but I really can't remember. I can't remember if I told this story, but she wanted to borrow a DVD that I had. I'm drawing a blank if it happened before or after our last break. It's just kind of funny to think about. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I'll bring that over next time I see you. You know, I'm kind of trying to blow her off because I don't want to go really near her holiest of holes anymore because I'm afraid of So, anyway, I took her some DVDs because she said if I brought them to her immediately that she would just blow me. So I figured that was a fair deal. But I wasn't interested in hooking up again. And it's very hard to dance around that subject. But it was good to hang out with her a little bit more because I ended up meeting her best friend. So I thought to myself, it seems like it would be possible to transition from her to her best friend if I was very open and honest about it and not tried to be shady and do it behind their back. So I kind of made this known to girl A, who I'd already hooked up with, and she was just fine with it. Or at least she said she was fine with it, and that's what I have to take. I have to take her at her word. She gives me the okay, I have to go for it. So in trying to get to know the best friend, I kind of realized that maybe she wasn't like the hookup type. You know, I didn't want to, I felt bad, kind of, which I know may sound weird, but, you know, some girls are put on this earth to be holes for our dicks, and some girls aren't. And, you know, I don't want to turn a girl that's not into that. So we kind of get together, we mess around. She blows me. And I guess I should mention this in the story. Hopefully we got time here because it's a doozy. But I'm very curious as to how there's so much out there for women to obtain knowledge on how to suck a dick. Like, you know, Cosmo, all magazines, internet articles, friends. I mean, her best friend is a huge whore. So I'm sure if they come up in conversation, she could give her some pointers. But this woman was like in our age range, and it was arguably the worst blowjob I've ever had in my life. Like, how do you not have a clue how to suck a dick? Like, I have no interest in sucking a dick, but I could probably suck a dick right now better than this chick could if her life depended on it. And
I'm sure you could.
Well, I'm sure I could, but I mean, you know, some guys are like, oh, there's no such thing as a bad blowjob. Yes, there is absolutely a such thing as a bad blowjob. Like, I felt like I'd wasted just many, many hours of my life, even though it was only probably 2 or 3, but still, this was ridiculous. I mean, at one point, I put my balls in her face, but it was kind of dark, but I think she just stared at them, like, what am I supposed to do with these? I just really wanted to be very rude and say, bitch, they ain't going to suck themselves. But I didn't. How are you in your 30s and you just don't have, it's not like she did okay or she had a clue. She was totally clueless. Like, maybe she had never sucked a dick in her life, which I found out later was definitely not true. But it was just horrible. So that's how it happened there. But she kind of kept pushing it a little bit, you know, because it's been a couple of weeks since we've had a fucker fail. So, you know, we had some time go by here. And in the meantime,
you've got time.
In the meantime, I'd hooked up with the girl that, I mean, our listeners may remember as the chick I almost pissed on. I mean, I hooked up with her. It was nothing to talk about here, though. I mean, I treated her like a filthy whore, but that's kind of standard. So if it's not a little bit more of a good story, it's not even really worth sharing here. But on to this girl, she kind of kept pushing it, like, why don't you want to hook up? We should get together. We should fuck, like, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I'm just honest with her. I'm saying, you know, I think you're kind of more at this point where you want a boyfriend and I'm not that dude. and you just don't strike me as a hookup type. Like, I kind of think that you want to be a bad girl, but you're really not a bad girl. And she's like, I don't know why you think that. And I'm kind of thinking, well, the fact that you had no clue how to suck a dick kind of points me in that direction, but it was just little feelings I had. And I just didn't want to be, I just would have felt like a scumbag fucking this girl. I can't explain it, but I just felt that she would have grown attached and caught feelings. But she keeps on and on and on. And finally, she tells me how many guys she's had sex with. And we're talking in the mid-40s. 40 dudes. Now,
more than 37.
Yes, more than 37 in a row. Now, and I mean, that's a tough situation because I don't want to be judged by some women, by the amount of women I've had sex with. I've been judged for such things, and it's very ridiculous. But don't it just kind of put this weird feeling in your gut when you're with some chick that has had sex with like more people than you have? Like, I mean, it's hard. That's hard to look past, which is foreshadowing to our Dear Andy segment, very conveniently. But
oh wow.
But I'm thinking, okay, if you fucked 40-something dudes, you're barely 30 years old. Maybe you are a bad girl. Maybe you are just down for some fucking. So one night, after I left a gathering that gets your adrenaline pumping, such as, I don't know, a pro wrestling event that has successfully been run by yours truly, she was texting me and she kind of, she was kind of hinting. I said, what are you doing right now? She was home. It was late. Said she had an early morning. And I said, well, fuck all that. You've been fucking all over town. Might as well step up and give me some play. So I said, so do you want me to come over there? And she's like, oh, do you want to? I said, sure. So I go over there. I walk in the door. I look her right in the eyes and say, so you're not going to go crazy and catch feelings, right? And she says, no. So I drop my pants and I start fucking. So I fucked her twice that night. And, surprisingly, she couldn't suck a dick if you had a gun to her head. But the actual fucking, like, it wasn't too bad. And I felt my performance was okay. I mean, I didn't break out. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't, like, spit on her or come in her eye or any weird shit, just because it didn't seem like that type of situation. But I was on my game a good bit. It was good stuff. It was good times. So
a good 3.5-star performance.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. I did good, and she was hanging in there, and it was all good. She had an awesome rack. I'm a big fan of that. That's really about it. But I mean, if you've got that, you've got something going for you. But I was just very perplexed by the lack of oral skills in this day and age. Just, I don't know, seemed very odd to me. But I got through it. I fought through it for our listeners. I hung in there, and I fucked yet again. Now, something very interesting to this story, and I don't know. I'm not going to be cocky and say I can pull it off, but one of the times I was over there, the night she blew me, or attempted to blow me, I got there a little earlier, and she was awake and hanging out and stuff when she has a roommate. And her roommate is like her best friend, is like pretty hot, pretty sexy, certainly filthy, like filthy as fuck. Like just her talking, I got that vibe of, oh my God, this is the one I should be trying to fuck. So, if you're keeping score at home, I've had sex with the girl A, who she was filthy for all their own reasons, obviously, as we know. I transferred to her best friend, girl B, and I think I'm going to try, because I don't feel that it's wrong if I'm on the up and up about it, if I'm honest, if I'm straightforward, if I don't try to be shady in any way, shape, or form. I want to try to transfer to girl C, girl B's best friend and roommate. I mean, that's a hat trick, ladies and gentlemen. That's the stuff dreams are made of.
Well, you could just try to combine the efforts and go for the belt.
Well, here's the thing. That night, it wasn't brought up. I mean, it was kind of joked about because at some point she was laying in bed with us. Like we were just laying there. But of course, she probably knew, something's about to go down. She's laying there, and it's like joked about, and I'm laying there, and I've been in this position many times. I've never won the belt. I've been in the position in the batter's box to hit the grand slam probably like 10 times in my life. And it's just, I mean, it's hard. It's just, how do you make that transition? How do you do it? And I just laid there and was like, how do I pull this off? Like, there's this girl that I've never slept with. I mean, 2 girls I've never slept with, one of which I fooled around with, but I was like on the fence about screwing, and this other girl's there. It was very stressful. It's a very stressful situation. It definitely is. Like, even the best of the best are going to be may choke when it comes to that at bat. But hey, I still got some swings in me. We'll keep you updated. But I am definitely, I got the number, I got the contact information for the roommate. Just kind of keeping it casual. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Blah blah blah. So we'll see what we can make happen.
Could be number 1 contender. Could be soon.
Oh man, I'm the goddamn number 1 contender of the fucking century. I'm ready to roll, son. And I just want to let everybody know the sacrifice that I'm making for our listeners. I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy.
Oh no.
I don't enjoy these exploits that you hear about to me now. This is a job. It's not even a hobby. It's a job, and I'm not even getting paid for it. So maybe we need to set up one of those GoFundMes so our listeners can throw a little change my way, because condoms ain't free, ladies and gentlemen. And when you got to get the big boys, they cost a little bit more.
What the fuck or fail GoFundMe? I think that's possibly an idea. Well, I see we have our contestant. Oh, go ahead.
The returning. My favorite segment. Let's roll, son.
Are you ready to go? All right. Well, our contestant is on the line right now. So without further ado, it's time to play a little game.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to America's favorite game show, Promo or Porno.
Welcome to America's favorite game show, the show where DP does not mean Dr. Pepper. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Promo or Porno. I am your host, the brave Dan Wilson, alongside my co-host, Mr. Andrew Alexander.
Yes, you are correct, sir. Yes.
And our contestant this week on the line, video recorder, a wrestling cinematographer, if you will, for many years. He's also a radio host for the Metal Empire program on the WAWL radio station, and he's the founder of YouTube favorite, one of the great dark corners of YouTube, Pierce Tapes, the king of out-of-date media, and a dear friend of mine, Mr. David Pierce. How's it going, man?
Oh, well, what is this, Wednesday night?
As we record this, it is, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay, well, yeah, it's just another Wednesday night right here at the, Pierce Manor, Castledale Pierce, in the scenic suburban Chattanooga.
And DP doesn't stand for Dr. Pepper. It stands for David Pierce, baby.
Yes, sir.
David by God Pierce, as I like to call him. Or maybe Empire fans may know him as the man who named our winter mega event, Long Cold Winter. He's the one that planted the seed in my mind, and I rolled with it. They all may also know him as Tank's little brother, but that's a completely different story. You got to see him to get the joke.
Right.
So you've been hitting up some good wrestling events lately. I know you got that camera everywhere you go, and you're always getting the best action at some of the best and some of the worst. You're completely unbiased. You will take that camera and show all of the world what goes on in the biggest and best spots and the smallest and darkest spots of Georgia. So what's been on the Pierce agenda lately?
Well, it is my duty to be unflinching in almost every facet of my life, and many times that includes me holding the camera or placing one strategically on a tripod somewhere. But of late I've been enjoying the Charleston, Georgia-based Peach State Wrestling Alliance, and of course I had the pleasure of attending the first ever Scenic City Invitational Tournament this past weekend.
Were you impressed with that?
Oh, I was very, very proud to be there and very impressed with everything for the tournament.
Let me ask you. You mentioned tripods. I've been called a human tripod. I don't really understand the joke. Is there anything behind that name?
I'm not for sure. I'd probably have to put my thinking cap on for that one.
And let me ask you. You do a lot of filming the wrestling events, but do you like to film some fucking every now and then? Or do you have an amateur porn collection that grows weekly, or what?
Oh, well, I don't know if I can comment either way on that unless anyone might have actually mistakenly seen one of my tapes at some point in time.
Well, do you know how promo or porno is played?
Actually, I've never. I'm totally unfamiliar with it.
Oh, well, you're behind the times, man. This is the game show that's sweeping the nation.
It is. We've only had one winner in the entire history of Promo or Porno. This now the 12th episode of Volume 6 of the Midnight Black Mass. And the majority of those we have played this game with various contestants. The only winner previously taking home a $50 gift certificate to watchingmymomgoblack.com was Corey Cox, the former Empire Tag Team Champion. So you've got to be a pretty depraved individual to be able to win this game. So, Andrew, why don't you tell him what he's playing for this week?
Well, we still have the $50 gift certificate for Big Tits Like Big Dicks. And as we've asked all of contestants, David Pierce, do you like big tits?
Come again?
Do you like big tits?
Oh, well, absolutely.
Well, more importantly, for this segment, do you like big dicks?
I think the answer would have to be yes.
That's what we like to hear.
Pierce is an honest man. He will not give you any bullshit.
I don't care who you are. You do not want to see guys fucking hot bitches with a dick that's smaller than yours. It just pisses you off.
Well, it kind of does. It's like, well, I don't know what to say about that, really, but it probably kind of loses something in the translation.
It's like rain on your wedding day.
It's maybe like, what's that? Well, I forgot the next line to that.
It's a free ride when you've already paid.
Who would have thought it figured?
Big dicks, big tits, and Alanis Morissette, all in a neat little package here on Promo or Porno. So, all right, Pierce, it's time. It's Promo or Porno time. We're going to play the first clip. We're going to play 3 clips total. If you get all 3 right, you win the grand prize. If you miss one, then you're out of contention for the prize. We'll play through to see if you get the answer. For the first clip, an audio clip, tell me if it originates from a wrestling promo. Are we ready for this?
I'm ready. I just didn't really hear any of my signal was bad.
Yeah, something's
Okay,
going on
so-
there. Basically, we're going to play 3 clips, and if you get all 3 clips, you win. It's just going to be an audio clip, and you have to decipher, is it from pornography or is it a wrestling promo?
Okay.
Not as easy as it sounds.
All right, here we go. Clip number 1.
It's because he transforms. He changes.
Into what?
Into a regular guy. Someone just like everyone else. Someone who blends in.
What do you think, Pierce?
I think that would have to be some kind of a promo from some sort of a niche-based wrestling promotion. You know, maybe like the what is it? The franchise with Twilight or something. The Twilight Championship Wrestling. I think I heard about that. Isn't that what that was from?
Is that real?
I think so. I mean, isn't that one of the new up-and-coming promotions in the great northern New Jersey area?
Wow. I wouldn't doubt it.
I'm not
what it's from, Rev?
I'm not sure about Twilight Championship Wrestling, but judges say that was from She-Hulk XXX, the porno parody by Axel Braun.
Oh, jeez. See, I would have never sat through that one, probably.
But it did have a wrestling connection because it stars the ninth wonder of the world, China.
China.
So,
I need
you want
to
see
check that one out.
Green China getting railed? It's in there.
Oh man, that's all I want to see.
It's all I've ever wanted to see.
Is that the recurring role that she did in the Avengers parody? Maybe I read about that one. I don't know anything else about it. I just read about it.
Oh, I'm sure you don't. Yeah, I believe she was in some of those. I've seen one flick with her as the Green She-Hulk, all painted up, sucking and fucking, but I haven't seen the full-on parody starring her. So that would be worth checking out. I saw her fucking Xbox too.
Like just that one night in China, maybe.
Yeah, he said if you ain't down with that, suck it, and by God, she sucked it.
Isn't that the one where he had to just kind of get up and leave the room for a little while for some reason?
That would be the one.
I can't remember. I mean, somebody was telling me about it. I wouldn't really know otherwise.
I know she has a clip bigger than some dicks I've seen in wrestling locker rooms. I don't want to name names, but I mean you could probably imagine. But that some bitch is huge.
Yeah.
Wow. So I
it
guess,
is.
does that mean that I just screwed the pooch right off the starting gate?
You did in terms of walking home with any prizes, but we'll still let you play through the game just to try to save face.
Well, good. I'm always interested in door number 2.
Well, I just happen to have something behind door number 2 right here for you. So here we go. Clip number 2.
Does this look soft to you? Well, I'll tell you what. There's one part of our bodies that's soft, and it ain't soft all the time, if you catch my meaning.
God.
Oh, well, that sounds like a... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm asking you. So,
it sounded like a classic promo from the golden days of 1980s pro wrestling, but I can't quite place it. But that's kind of it's almost like I get to see my own television set on Saturday morning.
You are correct. That is a promo.
Was that Road Warrior Hawk?
Yes.
That promo sounded awesome.
It's pretty great. It's on YouTube, entitled Road Warrior Hawk Threatens to Rape Ric Flair. And so he goes on in the promo talking about how his thing that's soft is going to get hard, and when they get a hold of Ric Flair in Chicago, it's going to be like prison.
Wow.
Oh, wow, really? That's
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I'll have to check that out.
Well, 1 for 1, Pierce.
1 for 1. That actually that seems to sum up a lot of things that I've done.
Story of your life.
Yes, it seems to be sort of like
a reoccurring
it goes
thing.
along those lines often.
Well, you got one more question left. You can turn everything around. You may not walk home with a prize, but I'm sure you know where to find that anyway without having to use a gift certificate, being the king of media that you are. So, and you tie a record held by many. The Strong Style Psycho Tank included White Trash and many others who have been on Promo or Porno, and at least get the 2 for 3. So here we go. Question number 3, Promo or Porno?
Who are you?
I'm the cook.
Promo or Porno?
Actually, I think that's a promo. Also, it reminds me of sort of like WCW along the same time that they had the return of RoboCop. That's what it makes me think
sound
of.
like a vignette that Jim Hurd might have produced, possibly in the early 90s. It may have included a midget with an eye patch, possibly Sting and Davey Boy Smith getting blown up on a boat. But let's go to the judges and see what that clip was. That was indeed a porno from a film, actually another porn parody of the classic Steven Seagal action film Under Siege, called Tata's Under Siege.
Wow. Well, I must say that if I had to offer any defense, I'm not really accustomed to there being quite that much dialogue.
You just like the Gonzo style. You just like them to get to fucking, right?
Well, no, I'm not going to say that, no. I mean,
you
that
like
would
to be romanced a little bit?
Well, there's got to be something special there. It can't just be, it's kind of like death metal. You can't just listen to anybody that does it. They got to have something going for them, and it's kind of, it's not. I mean, it's not really the same thing, but the analogy is,
Hey, I understand. So, hey, David Pierce, with your expertise, if I can ever get my porno company started, would you be willing to be our head cameraman?
Well, only if all the proper paperwork is in order. I don't want to be. I don't want a Road Warrior Hawk to be cutting a promo on me.
No, he's definitely not going to do that because he's dead as fuck. But
I don't want anybody that looks like him or sounds like him to do that either.
We've already been in talks with a former Four Horsemen in the Total Package, Lex Luger, for our first site, Seduced by a Luger, where we take Lex out and roll him around town and see if we can get some young tail for him. Would you be interested in filming that? But
Of course.
it gives new meaning to the torture rack.
That sounds intriguing.
And you think that loaded forearm's bad, you wait till he whips out that loaded dick.
I can only imagine.
We're going to get him some bitches that look like Yokozuna, SummerSlam 93 style.
Hey, that's awesome, because I could, I've got some, wide-angle lens attachments that have been collecting dust.
Oh, I know you love that wide-angle lens, Pierce.
I do. I've got a soft spot for it.
Well, not only was a game show played, but business was conducted. So now, Copter Boys Productions will have its own cameraman.
Hey, we want the best in the business, and David Bygod Pierce is the best.
Well, I'd have to consider it an honor also.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. But, hey, we're honored to have you. And we were honored to have you on Promo or Porno.
It was my pleasure.
Well, awesome edition of the show. Hate that you came away empty-handed, but Pierce, you're always welcome to come back and try again.
You know what? I think I'll have to do that.
Well, stay tuned to the Midnight Black Mass. See what kind of competition you're up against in the coming weeks. When you're ready to test your mettle again, let me know.
I'll do it.
Awesome. Thank you, David Pierce, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining the show. And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with the romantic advice time. Dear Andy, you've submitted your questions to the mailbox at askandymBM@hotmail.com, and he's got answers for you, folks. He's got all kinds of answers. We'll be right back on the Midnight Black Mass.
The Midnight Black Mass is pleased to announce we have become an affiliate of the World Wrestling Network at WWNLive.com, the home of the finest iPay-per-view and video on demand in all of professional wrestling, featuring promotions like Dragon Gate USA, Evolve, Combat Zone Wrestling, OVW, Shimmer, Shine, $5 Wrestling, and the vaunted Kayfabe commentaries with their U-Shoot, their guest booker, and their timeline series. You have to check it out. Of course, you can always go to their main page at WWNLive.com, but if you will, do us a solid, go to Facebook.com/PottyHumor or follow me on Twitter @DragonsRejects. We'll be posting our own unique links to these events as affiliates. If you go through our link, they give us a little kickback, and we greatly appreciate it.
Whether you're having an autograph session, personal appearance, or live event, we got just the person you need to contact for all of those needs. SBI Bookings is home of some of the best stars in the wrestling industry today. They provide you with the best talent this business has to offer, from Kevin Nash, Larry Zbyszko, Scott Steiner, and many, many more. So who will you contact next time you're planning an event? The men of SBI Bookings. Check them out at sbibookings.com.
Wrestling fans, Anarchy Wrestling television tapings are the second and fourth Saturdays of every month at 4236 Level Grove Road in Cornelia, Georgia. For more information on Anarchy Wrestling and on the shows, to watch the television product, and a whole lot more, go to anarchy-wrestling.net. That's Anarchy Wrestling, the second and fourth Saturdays of every month in Cornelia, Georgia.
Where can you find 24/7 pro wrestling, MMA, talk radio, and more? BeyondRingside.com, featuring 24/7 streaming audio, including the Midnight Black Mass, Sundays at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, except for pay-per-view weekends when they run a mini marathon and the Midnight Black Mass goes on as its namesake at midnight. But don't forget the other great shows like Beyond Ringside, Wrestle Rage, To Be Determined, and more. That's BeyondRingside.com. Hey kids, get your official Midnight Black Mass merchandise just in time for Halloween at midnightblackmass.spreadshirt.com. Be the coolest ghoul on the block with your brand new Reject or Midnight Black Mass t-shirt Get them exclusively online. Online exclusive, people. MidnightBlackMass.Spreadshirt.com. In this age of technology, appearance can make or break your franchise. Need to stand out in the crowd? ForceFX is proud to work with each and every customer to bring them exciting new designs to reinvent their brand. Satisfaction guaranteed. Custom innovative logos can leave a lasting impression and add just the professional touch needed for you or your business to truly thrive. Let us help you grow with your own custom logo, starting out at the incredibly low price of $25. ForceFX knows how to advertise. If you need flyers, business cards, web pages, promos, billboards, signs, or anything else designed differently and expertly, we can help. Send a message today with what you have in mind, and together we can create exactly what you need. The best designs, the best deals, designed differently. ForceFX. Find out more at Facebook.com/ForceFXDesigns or call 423-637-8784.
He's left dozens of women sexually unfulfilled. He's not on speaking terms with any of his ex-lovers. He will unquestionably die alone.
Dear Andy.
Hello, lonely hearts out there in Facebook land. Facebook land, fuck. What? Well, you're in Facebook land too, I'm sure. But you're also here on the Midnight Black Mass, and we know you've submitted your questions, and our man, our resident love expert, relationship guru, Andrew Alexander, is here to answer those questions. What did we get this week, man?
Man, I don't know if you can be lonely in Facebook land. Everyone has so many friends.
They're hollow friends. It's a very superficial relationship.
That's true. Well, this week's letter comes from, I'm quite sure this is the first time, I believe, comes from a male listener. A gentleman wanting some love advice. He writes, Dear Andy, I've recently begun seeing a young lady. Things are going well. I really like her, but something has come up. I was a fool and asked about the previous sexual history. It's never a good idea, but I just had to know, and she told me the number of partners she had in the past, and it seemed a little shady to me the way she described some of the situations. Fast forward a couple weeks, I brought the topic up again, and she came out with more truths, and the number was enhanced a little bit, and some of the situations had changed as well. The one that really caught my attention was the fact that she had sex with not one, but two men on a public beach back to back. How would you handle this situation? Is this something that I should ignore and try to move on, or should I let it continue to bother me because it really has got to me? It's kind of changed the way I see this girl. Please help. Well, that's a pickle, and I mentioned that would kind of mention that in the fuck or fail. You know, basically it sounds like this girl let two dudes run a train on her on a beach. And you're just begging to get sand in your vagina at that point. But I don't know, man. That is a very tough situation because on one hand, especially if you like someone and you're digging them, you got a good connection with them, that's not going to happen all the time. Maybe you don't let their past interfere with that. You know, everybody's got a past. You know, he didn't include how many women he slept with or if it's more or less than the sexual partner she's had, but still, what if she didn't like the number he had? What if another girl he met didn't like the number he had and thought, 10, 15, 20 women is too many, and wanted to stop seeing him because of that? He wouldn't like that, and that's kind of the same situation he's in with this girl. That's really all up to the individual person. If you're out there and your woman tells you that she sucked 37 dicks in a row, and you're 36 and you're 37 and you can get past it, that's cool. If she tells you she's had sex with 10 and it bugs you and you can't put it behind you and it's just constantly lingering in the back of your mind, you may want to pack up and look for somebody else. But you just got to remember, not everyone's an angel. Everybody's going to have these stories, including the guys out there. If I met a girl that I was really interested in and really interested in seeing if we could build something and have a relationship other than just one night of fucking, and I'm like, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm co-host of a podcast where I give explicit details about whores that I've slept with, and she hears it and thinks it's disgusting, she might kick me to the curb, and I don't want that to happen. I don't think it should happen. You can't really judge people for their past. But, if you can't get past it, if it's just constantly there and you're constantly thinking about it and worrying about it, if you really can't move on, you might want to get out of that relationship because, that's going to build up, and maybe you're going to say something that you regret in a fight, or maybe she may say something about your past and you throw hers up in her face, makes her feel bad. A number of things could happen there. I totally get it. I mean, no guy wants to be with a chick that's getting double teamed on the sandy beaches down in Panama or wherever it was. But, what if the roles were reversed? What if you're a guy that's on the beach and two chicks come up to you and say, hey, we're looking to fuck. What's up? You're most likely going to do it.
Yeah.
Sand be damned.
I mean, tit for tat,
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can, a girl, it's a turnoff for you to think about your woman getting filled out like an application by two dudes. But if I'm laying around and two chicks want to double team me, hey, jump on board because I'm down with it. 2, 3, 4 women. But obviously, when you think about your girl fucking a football team, it just makes your stomach turn a little bit. And, rightfully so. But, you don't want to be too judgmental because what if you're in these situations? Or what if you end up fucking 20, 25, 30, 35 girls and you meet the one and you tell her this because you want to be honest and open, and she throws a damn bitch fit thinking, oh, God, you're a fucking whore. You fucked half of the town you live in, So what's your take on it? Where do you stand?
I mean, I agree with you. It's first of all, it's really up to the individual person, like how you deal with it. But also one thing I would add is like that a shady past does not necessarily mean anything depending on the person's own character. Because that's not necessarily a shady past. If they weren't committed to anybody and they wanted to go fuck two guys on the beach, fucking to stop them. As long as you were safe and responsible and didn't fucking bring nothing that was going to burn the next dude, then, whatever, it's fine with that. But what you want to look at is a past like that plus other unscrupulous behavior, because it will be a huge red flag as to their behavior in the future. As someone who was married to a fucking horrible human being at one point in my past life, that's one of those, you can look past admitted crazy past, assuming that everything is on the up and up with you. But if you start finding other signs of dishonesty, then it's likely that they weren't just young and having fun, but they were probably fucking around on whoever they were with at the time. And, then that's going to come back to bite you in the ass later.
Yeah, and I mean, does fucking 50 people, when you're single and you're ready to mingle, before you meet that one special person, does that make you a bad person? I don't think it does. But Does being a liar and being a bleeding cunt rag, or being just a shitty person, dishonest, disloyal, untrustworthy, talking shit about people constantly, does things like that make you a shitty person? Absolutely. I think it does. So weigh it. You find a girl who doesn't do those things, doesn't have a history of doing those things, and is just all around a good person, but she's been filled up in every hole in gangbangs, filled up like a dolphin's ass, watertight. Maybe you should focus on the positives. But, it's to each their own. If you're a guy that you think about your woman getting railed by somebody like me, and somebody who fucking pissed on her or come in her eye or spit in her mouth or slapped her and did all these horrible things and shoved international objects up their ass, if that makes you a little queasy, well, I apologize, because I've done those things to many women. So your pickings may be slim, but maybe you're the guy that can get over that and not think about it. It's all up to the individual person, I think. But I think maybe you focus on who the girl or guy is, who they are, what type of person they are, not that they fuck people. Hey, people like to fuck. If you say you don't like to fuck, you're lying.
It's one of the great joys of life. I mean, it's one of the reasons to get out of bed in the morning. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, of course. And chances are, the girl that's out there fucking 50 people, she's not, maybe her parents didn't love her enough. Maybe her dad missed a couple of dance recitals. Maybe she doesn't have the most confidence in the world. You can't blame that on her. People can't help that. So she fucked a little bit before she met you. Big deal. I say that, but if I was dating a chick and she's like, yeah, I fucked a football team in high school, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I don't think we should see each other anymore. That would just freak me out. But,
fair enough.
It's all up to the individual. If you got the one and you care about her and you actually like being with her, that's the type of stuff you really need to look past. If not, she's not the one. If you can't look past that stuff, she's not the one for you. So go on to the next one.
Yeah, and maybe if she is a good person on the up and up and she's got a lot of experience, then maybe it's going to turn out good for you and you're going to find some great excitement. But like I said, watch out for those warning signs. But we're out of time this week, folks. Been a great episode. Getting back to some fun and games. Any final thoughts before we head out the door, brother man?
Yeah, I was really thinking about something deep. If you buy chocolate milk, it tastes a lot better than if you buy regular milk and get the Hershey syrup or the quick powder, anything like that, Bosco, what have you. It's a lot better when you just buy it straight up. So don't fool around with trying to make it. Just buy the regular chocolate milk.
On that note, keep one foot in the gutter and one fist in the gold. This is the Ram for Andrew Alexander, and we're out.
This has been a production of the Potty Humor Network. Find us online at youtube.com/pottyhumor or subscribe to us weekly and never miss an episode by searching Potty Humor on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you for listening, and good night.